Hello, everyone, and welcome back. It's the second round of the 2024 11th Annual Maricopa Open, presented by Infinite Disc. We're at the Hidden Valley Temp Course. Our leader is Anthony Barela after round one. We have Connor Rock right behind him, then Levi Hancock, and rounding out the card, Nick Newton. A bunch of guys from Arizona and one from Utah. This is the full round number 2. We'll play it all the way through with a check-in on the scores after 9 holes. And with that, we're going to get right to it. Real straightforward, 300 feet, hole number 1. There is a Mando. Shouldn't really come into play too much. You're looking at it dead center straight ahead. Couple housekeeping and editorial notes right off the bat. The wind is 10 times worse than it was the day before. I have largely toned it down, like significantly. Put a filter on, so maybe the chains might sound a little weird, but you're going to thank me because it was a non-stop wind with then massive gusts throughout, as we just saw Connor Rock a moment ago. This is Levi Hancock. And rounding out the card is Nick Newton. Looks like he's reading the wind correctly. I'll try not to beat it to death, but the wind during this round was so significant, especially when you compare it to what we saw for relatively calm conditions in round 1. And we saw how hot the scores were. 15 under by this man, Anthony Barela. I don't think we're going to see scores get that hot again. Not for this round, but we'll see. Barela's putter is off the mark. That leaves Connor to get into position. Connor comes in with a 10-12 rating out of Lakeside, Arizona. He's just been a pro since around 2019. He's already picked up 15 MPO wins in that time. Levi in for par. Levi comes in at 10-13, so literally just a point higher. And he's out of Layton, Utah, and he's got 17 MPO wins. Nick, 1,009 rating out of Tucson, also with about 17 MPO wins. We head to 2. And just like that, Connor's already knotted things up for the lead spot. Two is 340 feet. It's an OB on the right side if you pull it out or get pushed way over to the right. It's going to finish left for Barela. Throughout the last few years of covering more and more events in Arizona area, I've been seeing more of Connor. Levi, I think I've had on the channel just one, maybe 2 other times, so not as familiar with his game as what I see from Connor, and I've seen Nick and AB now quite a bit. Barela, right around circle's edge. A little perplexed by the wind reaction or the wind read there. Surprised to see it rise, he said. So Newton doesn't convert from a much shorter distance. Connor's in the same territory. And he, too, doesn't have quite the wind read. Not too often would we see a 340-foot wide, relatively open hole. I see 4 pars from a lead card, but wind is doing its thing. We head over to 3, 285 feet. You must make it up onto the shelf, onto the platform there, in order to be in bounds. If you come up short, that will be out of bounds. And in doing so, you also go to a drop zone. Great shot by Nick. Oh, and that's too wide by about 5 or 8 feet. So Barela is going to be out of bounds, going to the drop zone, trying to save a par. And you see the error to make here is to throw it wide left. You definitely don't want to throw it short or wide right, because then you're going to be out of bounds. You may not have a great putt if you're short and left or long and left, but at least you have the chance for the 2. And Levi gets a nasty roll away. But he's able to punch it in for the 3. So crucial to have these putts as close as possible. And you may think that sounds all too obvious or Madden-like on any given day. Yeah, of course you want to try and get a putt close, but when you're talking about wins of this significance, a few feet or a 18-footer versus a 14-footer, a lot more significant on a day like today. We head to hole number 4, 337 feet. Four plays as the 5th easiest hole on the course. Nick, not sure how that could be short, but that's what he's thinking. And just like a lot of tournaments, you see that some players are going just off to the side here. You see those blue flags on the ground, those little whiskers. Those are actually what denote the tee pad. And so sometimes we've seen that tee pads can be slippery or uneven or something of that nature, and players may elect to go from the natural earth or the natural tee that's provided, and you just have to be within those blue whiskers in this case. I know we often see that out at Vista del Camino for a lot of the courses. People then say, why can they go off to the sides? It's because those cement tees can be a little bit slick, so to speak. And Connor Rock burying one from way out there. And he's off to a great start. Seeing him 3 for 4. And currently out in front of Barela. Oh, and that one just pops up and drops in. Barela's already fallen. He came in with a 1-stroke lead, now has a 3-stroke deficit to Rock. And it's going to remain 3. Not the start that we saw the day before. I think at this point in round number 1, he was 4 under through 4. Today he's 1 over. That's a 5-stroke swing if you don't really want to do the math yourself. And we'll head over to hole number 5. The first par 4 on the course. There's going to be 4 of them when it's all said and done. And that's going to be low out of the hand and probably took off a few grams in terms of rubbing up against the rock. Oh, it's right there if you just drew a straight line through Nick. Barela puts a pretty good move on it. We'll see if this can be the spot where he can maybe get something going. It's an OB line up and to the right-hand side. Also a Mando that you need to stay to the left of as you get closer to the basket. A standstill forehand by Connor Rock. AB will eventually find a spot here. Not quite on the mark. Levi off to the right. And making sure of it. Maybe not the longest of putts, but don't want to take anything for granted out here. Connor, again, a great start. He's 4 for 5. Nick picks up his 3rd out of the 5 holes. Couple more pars, and we're going to move over to hole number 6, which is one of only 4 holes that played over par. Came in as the 4th most difficult. Kind of surprising, just because you have 325 feet, but there is a Mando that you have to stay to the left of. Also some OB all along that right side.
Come on.
Yeah, Nick was thinking it was going to be close, and it was. It was close to inbounds, but it ultimately wasn't. So at best, he's looking at a 3. And Levi taking this one now much more left, just trying to avoid everything that's on that right side in terms of the OB line. Saturday afternoon. Jumper by Nick. Oh, buries it. It's going to have to pack an extra water jug just for that hike. Look at that from way back. Nick saves the par after the OB stroke. Connor's stepper is short. So he likely will be getting the same score of a 3. Now here's Barela. Barela 1 over through the front 5. And the tale of 2 rounds so far for Barela. Not only is he 1 over, but he's currently 4 back of our leader, our new leader in Connor. And Levi doesn't have the right height. We're hearing a ton of basket hits. Or as Brad Hammock wants me to clarify, basket. Basket? He says I say basket weird. So, basket. That's for you, Brad. AJ and Jeremy Herr doing some work all over. Good work for disc golf. Good work to help out disc golfers. Yeah, love what they're doing. So big shout out to those guys. Now we're on 7. 260 feet. You have to go out to the left of the Mando. Round 1, I think we saw 4 for 4 with the forehands and maybe even a star frame. Okay, that's one way to do it. Somewhere around 50, maybe 55 feet. Nice work for Levi. Oh, AB's forced into some awkward footing, but it pays off. And that's his first birdie of the round. Nice work by AB. Okay. I guess this is all it takes. Everybody just dropping him in from everywhere. So 3 for 3 on the birdies for the lead card so far. Not overly impressive drives, but I guess they're making up for it. This looks like an awkward angle coming out of Newton, and his goes up and over. So although he's closest to the pin, he'll be the only one of them that looks to be walking away with a par. Out of Arizona, Dietrich Creative Designs. Make sure you reach out. Doing good work out there and trying to do course design, especially in the Arizona area. All the information is in the description below. This has a double Mando, so you must go through the cacti. And that one is hung up short. This is a par 4, 710 feet. We saw everyone feasting on this one during round number 1. Felt like almost every single player we saw had no problem picking up the birdie. Yeah, the more I think about it, with how quiet it sounds here within the edit, I'm just really not doing the wind the justice, but I know you would be massively annoyed if we just sat and listened to this ripping wind throughout the entire video, because that's what it was doing. So if it's coming through even after the filter's been applied, you know that it was really ripping. Then it kicked it up a couple extra notches as we're seeing Connor with the standstill. AB almost. He could certainly use an eagle or two, considering how slow the start has been. He's just even through 7 holes played right now. Connor out in front of everybody at 5 under for the first 7. Excuse me. Make that 6 under through 8. I think it's fair to say that if you pulled Connor aside and said, hey, we think after the first 8 holes, you're going to go from a 1-stroke deficit to a 5-stroke lead, I don't think many people would believe that. And that's no disregard to Connor and his skills by any means. It's really more so how slow the start's been by AB. He's going to take his time for the birdie look. And with that, we'll go to 1 under on the round. Still 4 back of our leader in Connor. And we're through 8 at this PDGA A-tier event. Thanks to our fearless TD, Sam Russ, along with his dad. They've been hosting us for a number of years. I'm going to go ahead and say probably all 11. No, I don't think it was, actually. I should check my math there. I think there's been some other tournament directors that originally got this started, but Sam and Chuck making sure everybody's out here late January, giving you players and spectators some opportunities to see some golf in the early goings of the year. That is out of bounds. Doesn't find the island. So he'll go to the drop zone. See that both Connor and AB just barely inside the island. And AB's going to get something going here. Picking up birdies on the last couple of holes. Yeah, and if I'm starting to think back, I feel like when this first came onto the scene, this may have even been a Dave Felberg operation. Hav and crew and some others in Maricopa helping pull this one off. So big shout out to everyone in that entire area. Maricopa, half hour, 45 minutes south or so of the Phoenix area, in case you didn't know. All right. Levi almost given an extra one back. He's going to take the bogey as Connor taps in for par. So Connor's at 20 under after 6 on the front. Marweed making a little move. He's 6 under. Nick's at 5. Tristan's doing some work. AB tied up with him at 17 under. On a little bit of a break. Thanks to all of our video coverage sponsors. Really would not be here able to cover this without you guys, along with the Patreon subscribers, along with all of the other subs and the overall event sponsors. So thank you really to all of those people as this is heading high and left as we move over to 10. AB putting that on angle now. Nick not quite having the lift. That'll be left of the pin, but definitely a look there for Connor and Levi. Letting that one loose just a little bit. That's going to leave him up and left of the pin and not really in a position, not with this wind, to actually get overly aggressive. So just trying to lay it up. Have an awkward stance for AB. I've also seen him with a little bit of momentum finally. It's going to be his 4th birdie in a row. Took him to a hole 7 to get his first, and now he's got 4 in a row. And Connor, almost the exact opposite. Connor had 6 birdies in the first 8 holes, and now has missed 9 and 10. Nick goes to 6 under on the round. And the tap in for Levi. So hole 10, which played as the single easiest hole on the course yesterday, is not the case today. Goes from the single easiest with the most birdies all the way down to the 6th easiest. So quite the stark contrast. Par 4, hole 11, 623 feet. We saw AB with a drop-in eagle in round number 1. Oh, spoiler if you didn't watch that. Well, today he's just putting it way out there. Doesn't love the effort.
Oh boy, see you later.
You don't love to hear that. Oh boy, see you later. As that one will come up short, way short and left. Connor with a ton of power. Well, that should give him a long look, at least for eagle. And this one's much lower.
Great shot, Levi.
And that will be left 40, maybe 50 with an eagle look. All right, Connor far enough away that that's going to be
Nice shot.
an actual throw as opposed to some kind of long jumper, especially in this wind.
Go in. Sit. Oh, sit.
Man, so demanding. Go in. Sit. Sit. So AB's next to the pin. And Levi, our last opportunity at eagle, off the front of the cage. I guess you won't complain too much with a tap-in birdie, but he definitely had the eagle look. I think on a calmer day, he's dropping that one in. Oh, and Nick, after too much on the approach, doesn't convert on the birdie look. And a par here feels definitely like a bogey. This is playing as the easiest hole on the course, averaging 3.18. And a big shout out. We actually had 2 eagles today on this hole. Lucas Wright and Tommy Guns the third managed the eagles. And then on top of that, there was 24 birdies from the MPO division. Dietrich Creative Designs. The link is in the bio if you have any course design needs, especially in the Arizona or Southwest area of the country. Hole 12, the second easiest. So you play 11, the par 4. You better get the 3 or better on it. And then you step up to 12, and you're looking for a 2 here as well. Played at 2.53 for the entire division. So more people than not getting this one. No OBs to speak of, no Mandos, no significant shelves, nothing really of that nature here on 12. Just 342, get after it. That'll work. AB lining up the stepper. And on a day like today, you gotta love the spin putt. I know spin putts can get a little squirrely and get away from you. Lots of things can happen with them, but when you're trying to fight wind, it seems like the spin putt is always going to be more effective on a day that has this much wind. I mean, really, who doesn't love 40-mile-an-hour gusts out in the desert? Disappointing and frustrating to be putting yourself so close and then just trying to get the right wind read and the exact release, needing so much more accuracy than any other regular putt. You have a little bit more wiggle room to play with here. The slightest of tilt or wrong angle, yeah, that's not going in. Barela, hole 13, 340 feet, just 2 feet shorter than the previous hole, and yet with the wind, doesn't play anything like it. In fact, I think there's a little downhill slope to this one that we don't have on the previous hole. This one averaged 2.79. That looks like just about the right speed. That's going to be deep. So that's my question for you guys that I need you to leave in the comments. What's your best wind tip? Is there any particular? Is it equipment change? Is it the way you hold? Is it a short range putting routine? As that one comes up just short off the front of the rim, you know, sometimes you'll see people putt with mids or even a driver, depending on what they're trying to accomplish. Sometimes you'll see a player flip the disc upside down and putt with it upside down within a very short distance. I'd like to hear some of those tips and tricks that you guys, is it bagging way heavier discs? Obviously, you're beefing up in the stability. I feel like that's maybe the one answer that's all too obvious, but leave that in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. But let me know, what's your best wind, like massive wind tip? Just the tip. That's all I need. We head over to hole 14, 280 feet. We have a Mando on the right. If you miss it, you go to the drop zone. Oh, actually, a Mando on the left as well. You do have to split those cacti. But you can see that the basket is drawn much closer to that right side as opposed to the left. So the left, I don't feel like really is a Mando that you're that concerned about. It's more so about this one that's right in the middle of your screen there. I like that. Yeah, if you're too far to the left side, you're going to be putting up this hill to an elevated pin. Of course, we see a lot of elevated pins in Arizona, and that's just a design factor to try and make up for sometimes a lack of elevation that's natural elevation or just a overall lack of natural obstacles. So this is one way that you can challenge players. Some people really love them. Some people hate them. You can argue about that in the comments if you'd like. I understand both sides, but it's really just an element to try and make things a little bit more difficult on a hole or on the grounds that may not have a lot of other natural obstacles. Connor with the drop-in birdie. Sometimes it's tougher to get it out than it is to get it in there. We'll head over to the next one, hole number 15 at 400 feet. This is straightforward. Just 400 feet out there. Eighth most difficult, or excuse me, 10th most difficult, or eighth easiest, I guess, depending if you're a glass half full or half empty kind of guy. Right in the middle, essentially, is what I'm trying to say, though. Pretty close to it. Average 2.76, so it was still under par.
Shot.
Does Newton have one from long range?
Man, that went straight.
Needed a little fade to that. As he said, it went way too straight. Connor with a really awkward stance is going to come up just a few inches short.
Southside. Yeah. Yep. Definitely. Yeah.
So Barela trying to confirm with the group if he is outside 10 meters. And that's a pretty common question that you'll hear players ask one another. Is this outside? And that's what they're referencing. Is this outside the 10-meter circle? Because then you can follow through. And that one slides outside of the left side chain. So Barela has worked himself into 6 under through 15. Connor currently 9 under through 15. Nick 7 under. And Levi a little bit slower going here. He's just 2 under. Excuse me. Now 3 under. So Levi with the lone birdie of the card as they move over to hole number 16. Played at 2.79 under par. 330 feet. As you can see, both backhand and forehand routes seem inviting. Let's see if one or the other pays off. We got AB going with the backhand. AB also maybe has a few more lines afforded to him than most when it comes to throwing shots. He didn't like that one, though. So we see ultimately 3 backhands, all varying sizes and shapes, but there were 3 backhands. AB is going to be up to act first. That one pays off. So Barela trying to string some together. He's now 7 under for the round. Buried ever so slightly. Connor not really able to get a line on it.
Nick, dude. Come on, man. That is ridiculous.
Newton frustrated from mid to short range. It's pretty much where I'd put Levi here as well. There's very little hesitation or thought that goes into putts usually of that length or distance, and you see everyone taking just an extra moment or two, or maybe waiting for the wind to die for just a second to step up to it, and Nick is going to have to settle for the par. Connor to close out for par. Big thanks to all of my Patreon subscribers and supporters. Tons of coverage is only made possible because of you guys supporting me on there with some kind of financial contribution. And not a problem for Levi's. That's going to check up, bank right off the little shrubbery there, put him right next to the basket. Tap in birdie coming. Levi's trying to get something going here. He's going to need it. And that bounces out favorably as well for Barela. Still will leave him with a putt of some significance, but he'll at least have a look at it. Connor. Oh, he pulls it to the right. There's a double, or should I say triple Mando, left, right, and then you see some flags, a little string of flags on top. So you really have to punch it through the window. And not a problem there for Nick Newton. He also will be right there for birdie, but that means Connor's going to the drop zone. Oh, that catch is almost exactly where we saw AB's drive catch. So he's still out. This is for bogey. That's going to be heartbreaking. That is one of the shortest holes on the course. In fact, the third shortest hole on the entire course. And he's looking at a double bogey. Meanwhile, AB has a chance to get 3 strokes on him on this one hole. Not by much, but it's in. Barela will move to 23 under, but Rock will be giving 2 back. 2 additional ones back from the 23 he's at. So, yes, a 3-stroke swing as Nick's going to step up. Short range, not a problem. Nick with a solid round here, going 8 under. Levi taps in to go 5 under on the round. And we have just 1 hole left to play. I'm excited to see there's been some guys doing work on the chase and third card. Big shout out to our friends at the Distinguished Doodle. You don't have to have a doodle to use those products. They're great for all dogs. So make sure you check them out. They have a ton of products, shampoos, salves, all sorts of things. All made in the USA. And you get 35% off if you use the code The Disc Golf Guy. Little body English coming out of AB. Nick trying to close things out here. 605 feet on hole 18. And what a turn just in the last few holes. It looked like Connor, who was out in front of AB from really, the second hole on, now lagging. Now are sighting in with First Light. Dan, Robin, Boyd, the crew out there grabbing range to give us 316 feet to the pin. That's what happens when you're seeing the First Light.
Thank you.
Connor doesn't love it. Looks like he's going to be on the short left side, and that's likely going to be pinched in terms of positioning. Levi's caught up at the last moment. AB gets up on top, trying to close out with a birdie. And speaking of closing out, Connor double checking that he too is outside that 10-meter circle we talked about earlier. Just want to say thanks to everybody. Spicy Boy was out there covering this as I was in another country. And a big shout out to the TDs, the staff, everyone that can make this event happen year after year. And all of our gracious players. I know you're battling some conditions today as we watch AB jam it home for the birdie. Hope everyone in Arizona and beyond enjoys watching the coverage. Just the fact that Sam and others, I know Jen Allen and a few others had gone out to the property to try to give a little insight on the course design. I know we're not playing in Maricopa city limits, so to speak, and I know that's a little bit disappointing to some, but sometimes politics supersede all else, unfortunately. But we're glad we're out here. We're glad you're enjoying the action. Like I said, like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. I've got giveaways for every single round. I'm going to keep giving them to you all at 18 holes each round for this event. And with that, we're through to Marweed. Shot an 11 under. He's tied up at the top with Barela. We'll see Tristan Tanner and Nick Newton all on your lead card for Championship Sunday. We'll see you then for the 11th annual Maricopa Open presented by Infinite Disc.